Hello students, in this video we are going to look at the introduction to quadratic expressions and equations. This will be our part 1. So the word quadratic is derived from Latin word quadratus. Quadratus, which means to square or to make square. The root of this word here is quad. In Latin, quad is a prefix which means 4. And because a square has 4 sides, then our explanation is okay. Now let's look at the following. Number 1, we are going to look at quadratic expressions. Number 2, we are going to look at quadratic equations. Then, number 3, we are going to look at expansion. Number 4, we will look at identities. Then number 5, these are quadratic identities, of course. Then number 5, we are going to look at factorization. So let's begin with our number 1, which is quadratic expressions. So what is a quadratic expression? Or what makes an expression a quadratic one? A quadratic expression is simply a mathematical expression whose degree or power is 2. And the standard formula of writing a quadratic expression is always ax squared plus bx plus c, where a, b, and c are numbers. X is always a variable. So it is this power 2 here which makes this expression a quadratic one. So we can have some examples of a quadratic expression. For example, Roman 1, this is an example of a quadratic expression. It has power of 2. Another example could be, let's say, x squared minus, or let's say plus 3x minus 4, like that. Another one could be, let's say, x squared plus x maybe minus 2. So all these are examples of quadratic expressions. Expressions can always be simplified or factored. Now let's look at our number 2, which is quadratic equation, and see what we mean by a quadratic equation. Quadratic equation. Let's see what we mean. It will be our number 2. Quadratic equation, or equations, because we are looking at several of them. Now, we have seen that a quadratic expression is written as a x squared plus bx plus c. But when we add is equals to 0, this now becomes a quadratic equation. In other words, the standard formula of writing a quadratic equation is a x squared plus bx plus c is equals to 0, where a, b, and c are numbers, known values, and a should not be equal to 0. X is unknown. Because of this that we have introduced, it means that a quadratic equation can always be solved. And we are going to have an example that we will try and see how we can solve. So this will be our example, Roman 1, and it will be x squared plus, let's say, 3x plus 2 is equals to 0. So we are going to solve this one. When you are asked to solve such an equation, you always find two numbers whose product gives this value here. But the sum of those two numbers should give you this one here. So you have said product should give you 2 and sum should give you 3. In this case, we can have those numbers as 1 and 2. Why 1 and 2? Because 1 times 2, which is the product, you have this one. But when you add, you have this one. So these values are going to replace our mid value here. And we are going to have plus 1x, which is x, plus 2x plus 2 is equals to 0, like that. Then we are going to try and factor out. So we will have x into bracket x plus 1, close the bracket, plus 2 into bracket x plus 1, like that. Then you close the bracket, is equals to 0. So we are going to pick this one here and this one, and then either of these because they are the same. So we are going to have x plus 2, like that. Then x plus 1 is equals to 0. So it means either this one or this one is 0. Because when you multiply a number by a 0, you get 0. So if this one is 0, what will be the value of x? So let us solve this one first. If x plus 2 is equals to 0, then x is equals to 0 minus 2. So x is equals to minus 2, like that. Let's now use this one. If x plus 1 is equals to 0, then x is equals to 0 minus 1, because this one crosses to the other side and this sign changes. Same case applied here. So x therefore is equals to negative 1. Let's now look at expansion, which is number 3. What is expansion? If you are asked what is expansion, simply means opening the brackets or parentheses. And with an example, let's have Roman 1. We're going to have a plus y, then square. How do you perform this one? So if it is square, it means it is this one times the same. So we are going to have a plus y, then a plus y. And how are we going to perform this one? We are going to use this one, we multiply by this, then again use this one, multiply by the same. A into bracket, a plus y, then plus y, a plus y. So you have and your answer becomes like that. We have done expansion. Let's look at another example. Example 2, which in this case is going to be a, let's say, plus z, like that. Then we have 5. So what is the answer here? This is the same as having 5 a plus z. No difference. So this times this, you have 5a plus this 5 times z, you have 5z as your answer. That is how we open the brackets, or that is how we perform expansion. Now let's look at quadratic identities and see how they operate. Number 4, quadratic identities. Now these are truths which holds whenever they are applied. We are going to have this one here, Roman 1. So when you have a plus b and you are told to square, this is what you normally get. You will get a square plus 2ab plus b square. When you have a minus b and you are told to square, you normally get a square minus 2ab plus b square. Then we have number Roman 3, which in this case will be a plus b, like that. Then you are told to multiply this one by a minus b, like that. How or what do you normally get when you perform this one? Whenever you are given such, your answer is always a square minus b square. This is a difference of 2 square. Now let's look at factorization, which is number 5. Factorization in expressions. Now what is factorization? Factorization simply means breaking down an expression into its components whose multiple or whose multiples give the original expression. So after breaking down a given expression, you are supposed to ensure that the multiples of those components that you have obtained gives the original expression, failure to which you need to check your answer. Now, let's have an example and see what we mean. From 1, we are going to have x squared plus 7x plus 12. Let's factorize this one and see. So you normally ask yourself when you are given such an expression, two numbers whose product gives 12. So the product of two numbers, product, should give you 12. But their sum should give you the mid value. So sum should give you 7. In this case, 3 and 4 can be used, because 3 times 4 you have 12, and 3 plus 4 you have 7. These two values are going to replace the mid value, and so you are going to have x squared plus 3x plus 4x plus 12. Now you need to factorize. So you are going to have x into bracket, then inside here you are going to have x plus 3. You close the bracket. Then you have plus 4, open the bracket, x plus 3. You are supposed to get this 4 when you multiply this and this, and then you get this 12 when you multiply this and this. Same case applies to this other side. This and this should give you this, and then this and this should give you this. Now you are supposed to pick this x and this one, and then you pick either of these because they are the same. So your answer becomes x plus 4, close the bracket, then x plus 3. Now let's look at the second example. Example 2 on factorization, and we are going to have 3x squared plus 2x minus 5. When you look at this value here, the coefficient of x squared is 3, so it is more than 1. In such cases, you normally multiply this one by this number here, and so your product should give you negative 15, because this and this gives negative 15. Then at the same time, the sum of those two values should give you this one here, which is 2. So which two numbers are those? Thus, when you multiply, you get this one. When you add, you get this one. Let's see if this one can do. If you have negative 3 and then you have 5, are you safe? Let's see. This multiplied by this, you have this, then this plus this, you have this. Yeah, we are okay. So let us replace these digits with this mid value, and we are going to have 3x squared minus 3x plus 5x minus 5. Let's proceed and factor out. So we are going to have 3x, open the bracket, and then you have x minus 1, like that. Then plus 5, open the bracket, x minus 1, like that. And we take this one and this one. So we are going to have 3x plus 5, and then we take either of these because they are the same. So bracket x minus 1, and this becomes the answer. Thank you for watching our video. Kindly remember to like and subscribe. See you.